Hello, hello! Let's talk about the Queen's solo raid. So, this is frankly a pretty straightforward raid, but I know that this is the first wind raid we've had since... I have no idea, actually. When was the last wind solo raid we got? SBS? Maybe Mana? Eh. Actually, no, it was the summer with Summer Sakura and Rosanna. So, a lot of people won't be too used to what team they can use, and Nayuta also changes things around a bit because she's not part of the main team. Because she's just not that good. Fucking wish I was wrong, but... Nayuta is more like... Team 3-4. I use her in shotgun on this account, and I use her with electric on my main. Because she fits as a healer pretty well in those teams. And that's kind of it. She does decent. She's just kind of underwhelming for an anniversary pilgrim is the main thing. But that's besides the that's besides the point. This is my damage on the main. These are the team I'm using. This is the damage on the ult. Before you go, what the fuck is that team with SBS? I don't have Maid Mast. I still don't have her. If I had Maid Mast, my ult would be out DPSing my main. Realistically. I am not kidding. These are my teams on the ult. The main thing that my ult has is a properly built mana. The reason why this matters is because that means I can have mana on electric with Bunny Aid, which is obviously worse damage than having Nayuta and Maiden. However, then you can put Nayuta in shotgun, and that's like an extra 1.1 bill damage for me. 1.3 actually? No, 1.15. Which is really good. So I lose 800 mil here, but I gain 1.1 bill here. So it's better overall. Just know that mana is not a phenomenal healer, so if you are struggling, max skill 1, that increases how much she heals the whole party for, so that's pretty important. This team I'm doing just worse than my main, but that's just because my main has better overloads, especially in Mihara. And this team, I think I do better on this account than on my main, so yeah. The 3.8 bill here, actually I can do 4.2 bill, I got screwed over. I will explain once I get to that team. There's a few things you have to note. If you have a volume with overloads, replace D with volume. Volume is just a better DPS increase than D, okay? Not only is volume a better DPS increase than D overall, she is less prone to screwing over your SBS, which is what happened this run. At one point, for whatever reason, my SBS stopped getting the buff from Liberaglio. I then realized that it's because my Liberaglio was hitting the core, whereas my SBS was hitting the body because it explodes and it hits other parts. The reason why that matters is because since I hit the body with SBS, she gets an attack increase based on the caster attack from D. Liberaglio does not because she's hitting the core. So as a result, if you don't burst fast enough, you will get screwed over as a result. It's really annoying. I hate the fact that it's a thing, but yes. D is a problem because of that. Volume also does not have as much of a problem with CDR, which is honestly the biggest problem also. Volume gives better CDR than D does, after 2 bursts, of course. So you don't have time to wait. D will make you wait for like 0.5, 0.6 seconds here and there, and it does add up. It's a bit annoying, but genuinely, volume is just a better option overall. And I'm not talking about like having good overloads. I'm asking about having overloads in general with maybe a collectible, maybe not even upgraded to be honest. Just so you have a bit more health so you can survive easier. Okay? This team here is also missing Maid Mast. If I had Maid Mast and instead of D I had volume on both accounts, like built up, you would be looking at like 6 bill pretty easily, pretty consistently on both accounts. So yeah, this would break 20 bill pretty easily. Or close, at the very least. And likewise on this account. Now that I've went through this, let's talk about the rest, shall we? I'm going to, as usual, go through order from hardest to easiest, and some people are going to be confused when they see Nayuta on the hardest team, and it's hard for a stupid reason. This raid is not made with Nayuta in mind. What the f... You're going to see exactly what I mean. If you try to use Nayuta in shotgun and you just burst as fast as you can, you will die. I wish I was kidding. Her burst basically means she cannot do QTE, so if you just burst it to get to the QTE, then I have bad news for you, bucko. You are not actually getting through this. So, let's talk. This is a shotgun team, so yeah, this is pretty simple. I'm trying to focus on using Nayuta because of the QTEs. That's really it. Being honest, you can probably leave this on auto battle for the most part. This you have to cover, whoever is getting hit, you have to cover unless you're using Crown. I'm going to go more into detail as to why once we get to that. For now, though, point is simple. Here is going to be fucking awful. This is the first QTE. Yeah, you have to specifically target the QTE or it's just not going to break. And then once the memory incineration runs out, that is the state in which you are during burst, you'll be able to just shoot and do the QTE just fine. You'll have to be quick though because you almost have no time. Woohoo! Your shotguns are completely useless during that part, but it is what it is. By the by, if you do not have mana, you can do what I did on my ult. Remove Drake, remove Nayuta on this team, and put Blanc Noir. I'm not going to showcase the two teams, because there's no point. If you've used Blanc even once in your life, you know that you will never run out of HP. Especially considering they heal like 3 times the amount Nayuta heals, and Nayuta does not struggle whatsoever on that front. Well, actually, no, she does struggle a bit, so you have to cover like this. So, the double swipe is what does the most damage. As you can see here, because this targeted Drake so much, you have to pay attention to the state of your battlefield when this happens. You just go to Drake and cover one of the swipes. And then, there you go. This is the same thing if someone else gets hurt instead. It's just so you don't get, well, killed, effectively. Also, you can tell this is like my first few times fighting this boss. I had already done my run on the main, but this was the first time I was running Nayuta on this team. So, if you see, like, I'm not perfect, that's probably why. I also just kind of want the video to be out as fast as I can. So, it is what it is. You want to target the core as much as you can, obviously, because that just does the most damage. Here I try to cover the first swipe. It's not necessary, but because this happens right after, it does help. And here. So, just so you understand, right? The QTE happens, you do the QTE, and then you get one full burst. Yeah, okay. So the QTE happens. You can full burst here, that's completely fine. It's the Dorothy burst as well. Focus on doing damage the most you can. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Right? The double swipe happens. Do not burst as soon as you can here, because this is the part where if you burst, you will not be able to do the QT. Once the QT is done, then burst. It's that simple. But that shit is really annoying, because until you realize which burst you have to kind of like reel back a bit on, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? But yeah, after you're done with that second QT, it's pretty easy from there. The boss just becomes very not erratic. What's the word? Here I cover. You could honestly, if you have that much cover, you can just cover both hits, both swipes as they happen. It's completely fine because, frankly, realistically, you should not take damage afterward. Because now the queen is just doing this stupid baby Chentrop garbage where it just constantly does the QTE thing. I let the QTE linger a bit so I can hit the core more without having to worry about the next QTE, because it just will do the QTE all non-stop. Here I just finished the QTE early because you can see like how much time there is left, right? So you kind of don't really need to worry about the next QTE. You can just constantly hit the core and be done. 3.5 mil. So yeah, this is solid. And it's kind of just annoying purely because of Nayuta. Next up is Summer Rosanna in Helm. Now, if you wonder, what should I do with Summer Rosanna? Skill 2, so 7, burst to 10, because that is the biggest damage increase for the whole team. And that's it. You don't care about anything else. That's it. Really. If you are on a budget, get the burst to 7, and then just leave it there. It is not a bad idea to keep Rosanna at 4, 7, 10, just for other win solo raid, but if we ever get a reset, you can just reset her then. It's no big deal, really, at the end of the day. Rosanna is not bad. She's actually quite good. The main reason why she was not used before is, one, there was no win solo raid. But also, more importantly, at the end of the day, you kind of just didn't have healing options. Now you have Helm, or rather healing options that are like flex spots in teams, right? You had basically Summer Mary and that's it, which is not great. Now you can just have Rosanna with Summer Mary or Helm or well, not Nayuta, Nayuta's burst too. But you get the point. You have actual option to pair her with. But it's mostly team 4 or 5, so just keep that in mind. The main thing you want to note is that whenever you can, you want to burst with Helm. Not burst, you want to full charge with Helm and generate burst as a result. But yeah, this should be pretty simple. If you feel like damage, or rather you're getting chunked for too much damage by the slaps, it's fine, you can just cover them. You have infinite cover because of Litter anyway, right? So, you know, abuse that. I'm just trying to play balls to the wall because that's just how I play. And again, Like, just look at the stupid amount of healing health provides. You're completely fine next to her. But yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, I'd hope. This attack here might be a problem if it's targeting Rosanna, by the way. You will potentially die on Rosanna if you don't cover. Just something to keep in mind. Also, Rosanna, you kind of want her to have a resilience cube. I mean, this should be obvious, right, if you've played the game for like 2 seconds. But it's more elemental damage, if anything, because it's level 15. But also, you have less downtime with the QTE that can be a problem. I'm mid-helm, so nothing you do matters. And here we are again. Yeah, I almost fucked myself, but oh well, it's fine. Did not realize I was solo on ammo with Rappy, but it is what it is. And there it is. If you want, you can also replace Mihara with Raven, but for me, for this specific team, I did figure Mihara would be better, because there's no part to break. For Team 3... As I said before, and I'll say it again in case people just jump to this section, I do not have Maid Mast. If I had Maid Mast, I would be using Maid Mast. And I would be bursting with Maid Mast first and then Maid Anchor after. Unfortunately, I don't, so it is what it is. Also, once again, I'm going to also point this out. Volume is the better option you can have here. 1000%. She's the better option than D because the way these bursts work, you can end up with attack on SBS while you don't. You can end up with an attack buff on SBS from D while Liberalia doesn't get one. And because of that, SBS does not get the charge speed buff from Liberalia because she ends up with too much attack. It is stupid, it shouldn't be this way, but here we are. I fucking love the fact that this Anniversaries units are so problematic, I guess is the best term for it. You have Liberalia, who doesn't work out the box, and you need at least 3 lines of attack for her to work, and punishes you for having cores on SBS. And then you have Nayuta, who's just completely inferior to Crown in every single team, including Wind. You need 4 Elemental and 4 attack roll on Nayuta for her to do the same job as Crown without any overloads in particular. Yep. Welcome to Wind. It's a bit unfortunate, isn't it? But, yeah, that aside, since you're only using Anchor with this team if you don't have Maid Mast like me, well, it is what it is, right? You do want to cover some swipes because they will just tear through your cover pretty fast otherwise. Another thing to note, if you don't have Maid Mast or Maid Anchor, but you have Summer Mary, because she got reran, I believe, at one point not too long ago, then use Summer Mary with Grave as the Soul Burst too. It's not perfect, you lose the reload speed that Anchor gives, but it's decent enough. Alright? Just pointing that out in case there's people out there that don't have either maids. Oh, and if you... well, no. I was gonna say if you have Maid Mast, you could use her with Summer Mary, but no. Maid Mast would be the only burst you have, which is not good. But yeah, you can tell at one point in the fight, I just don't get a charge speed buff on SBS. And I'm pretty sure it's because of D. Can't think of anything else where I could have gotten an attack buff, but I could not get it on both. So this team is pretty self-explanatory. If you have Maid Mast, Maid Anchor, it's so much easier. You just go full speed ahead. You don't care about anything. The boss cannot hurt you. You don't have to cover anything. You just face tank everything, and you just do as much damage as you can. You should be able to break, 6 bill damage if you have 4 elemental on both DPS, Liberalio and Scarlet. In my case, my Liberalio is actually lacking an elemental roll, so yeah, this is the case on both accounts, by the way. So it is what it is. I will also point out that Volume is better because she is about on par with Litter if you are using her with the maids. Because they have so much crit rate and crit damage buffs for whatever reason. So it compounds with the crit rate and crit damage buffs from Volume to work pretty well. If memory serves, it's been a while. But I believe this is the reason why she was so good with them. And also because Litter gives an attack buff. Right, that's another thing I should mention. So you cannot use Litter with this team. Litter gives attack based on each of your unit's base attack, and Liberalio's base attack will most certainly be lower than SBS, unless for some kind of reason you are some kind of crack cocaine creature and have more cores on Liberalio than on SBS. So yeah, Scarlet will usually just have more attack overall, and because of that, or more attack at base, so because of that, Litter's attack buff will give more value to SBS than it will to Liberalio, so it's very likely that you just will not get the charge speed buff, because Scarlet's attack will go higher than Liberalio because of it. So Litter does not work with this team. That's why I'm using D even, and I don't have a good volume. My volume is not overloaded. I don't have the meth for it, so I just don't work on her. But, as a result, D is the best option here. Again, if you have volume with overloads, and you can get her to, I think it's, 177? Or ideally it would be 11010, but whatever. The point is, if you can get that with overloads, it's just so much better than D for this. D is really bad overall. She has aged pretty poorly with time. Alright, Team 4 now. So Naga. Naga is actually pretty good this raid. It's crazy what happens when the unit that gives, I don't know, 120% core damage increase is in a raid with a core. No way, it's good? Never would have thought I'd see the day. But yeah. By the way, here you can see I completely ignore that laser because it does fuck all. If you have a full shield, as in you just got the shield up, the boss cannot do anything. Here, because all of my damage is on wind units anyway, I just let the QTE run its course before I break it. But yeah, if you have a shield on Crown, doesn't matter who gets hit. If the not on Crown, on whatever character gets hit by the Death Laser, it does nothing. It will not break through the shield whatsoever. It will just barely break it. So you can completely ignore it unless there's an attack that's happening before the laser happens, which lowers the shield value, in which case you do have to cover. But as you can see, I just don't give a shit. I just do what I want to do for the whole fight, and I ignore everything the boss can do. Because at the end of the day, it can't do anything. If you have the shield before the double slap goes in, it completely neutralizes the damage from the double slap. Like, obviously, there's this part here where you can, in fact, get hit because there's shit happening before it. But for the other ones, you're completely fine. And Naga heals a lot. Like, a lot. So, you kind of don't need too much to actually survive. So yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. You just shoot the core as much as you can. What's that? I have a shield. You don't matter. Case in point. But yeah, this is pretty simple. I believe I did not realize that was something I could do on my main. So the difference in damage probably comes from that. I could probably get an extra 100, 200 mil from that. Also, you see how this is, right? Because I only have 2 characters hurt, Naga heals so much because it double heals one target. All that to say, yeah, you just don't care. And we're back to full. But yeah, this is pretty simple. I don't think I have to explain too much here. It's just a 5 billion team comp that works really well. So yeah, my Asuka is better on this account than on my main, to be fair, so there's that. And finally, the Cinderella Mana team. Honestly, I probably should have put it more like toward 3rd place. This is a pretty difficult team, because you do have to pay attention to what's happening. You'll have to cover the laser at every time. At every time. At every opportunity that you have to do it. Because you will just lose someone otherwise. Mana is pretty competent as a unit. This, by the way, if you want to know, my Mana's healing skill 1, is at level 7. If I truly struggled, I would have just gotten that to level 10. Right? But it's pretty doable to do without. It's just that you'll need to cover some swipes, especially toward the end. Just something to keep in mind. If you don't have big investment on her skills, it might be worth it to do if you see that you are struggling. My Mana's collectible is not even leveled. But yeah, this overall is better to run, so you can keep Nayuta for a different team. If your mana has good elemental. My mana is 91% elemental, which is why I'm using her here. I have no attack roll, and I only have 1 max ammo roll, which bites me in the ass, of course. But yeah, here I covered with mana 1 strike, because my HP was down to like 80%. If you wonder why I was covering there, that's why. You want to do the QT as soon as you can, by the way. You don't even try to delay it. You lose a lot of damage if you do. But yeah, the reason why Aid is here is really just for burst gen purposes. Poor Annie, she's getting picked on. Matter. Our entire cover's almost gone while everyone's very healthy. But yeah, with the combo of Rouge and Mana, you should be able to survive pretty well. Even face tanking these, which is really silly. If you see your HP going too low, again, you can just cover. As long as you have some cover, it is worth doing. If you manage your aid properly for burst gen, you are able to get one extra burst with Cinderella just to, like, really close to the end. So that's why you really want to capitalize on burst genning with 8 as much as you can. Like this. It is like about 200 mil if you can get everything in, so it is worth mentioning. So yeah, these are the teams, and once again, oh, that's the main. These are the overall team I've used, and if you want to know, this is what my main did. The main thing is that my main does not have mana, so I had to put Nayuta in electric. It works fine. I lose only some damage, and it's really just because I don't have mana herself doing damage. Being a wind DPS with a lot of elemental damage. And with Shotgun, I just use Blanc Noir to cover for Nayuta's disappearance. So, yeah. And here you can see, obviously, Anchor and Mast together doing 5.8 bill. Again, with D, if I had Volume actually built, I would put her here. It would be like a good chunk more damage. Because it works better with maids. So yeah. Hopefully this helps some, and with that, I'll see you all on the next one. Have a good day, everyone.